Yeah, we on Boss Talk TV. Shout out to E. He the reason you see me.
Maybe you're that kind of guy. Maybe you're that kind of whack-ass dude. Maybe that's what you are. Because I didn't call you any names. I said, let me just cut you my money up. Yeah. And then you're saying, oh, they're just doing this for views. What individual on social media is not doing shit for fucking views? What motherfucker? If you ain't doing shit for views, you should not be on social media. Everybody wants views. That's why everybody and their mama is twerking on whatever. They're doing sketches with their kids so they can be fucking influencers. You have to have views. That is how these fucking things work. Views work. That's how you get money. Okay? That's how. Everybody's doing this shit for views, and you fucking right I'm doing this for views.
But he's implying you sold him out for views.
I sold him out for views. That's what I did.
You got literally.
I sold him out. My views came because he's been on my show. Stop.
Wow, guys. Hey, man, guys, make sure you like, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you share my show. Make sure you share the reviews that we put out. And just want to say, man, thank everybody for tapping in as they always do. Had to really think about this when I said I was going to speak on it, because I watched my boy Godfrey and Godfrey We Trust podcast, and I think he's got a dope podcast. I think, like I said, a lot of times when you're dealing with these guys and you're dealing with what these guys have, created, watching Godfrey early on, the only reason I jumped into watching Godfrey was because of Faison. Faison is my guy, and he was on his show, so I started watching it. And him and Faison are pretty cool. But at any rate, it's something that when you get into podcasting, we've had from Charleston White to the OG Pyru, everybody have their riffraffs. Everybody from Rainwater to Dunn Chief. This is our area down here. To Sean Cotton. There's been some back and forth between people who said one thing, the other said another. Some people don't want you to put the interview out. We've experienced all that over here. And the one thing we try to do is provide integrity. If you ever been on Boss Talk 101, you'll see that everybody come in, you have to sign paperwork to say, hey man, you're okay with us recording this. We always do that. I believe Sean Cotton, when he first seen it, I didn't really think nothing of it. I've never done it no other way. But you have to come in, sign the paperwork, or else you're not going to be able to be on our show, because we're not sitting there wasting our time. And you should think things through before you come on someone's show and start trying to give them ultimatums of, I want you to put it out, or hey, put it out, But the thing about it, we've had people who came on the show and told us, hey man, don't put that out, man, after they've signed the consent form. We could have very well put it out legally, but we never do, because of course, building relationships and making sure we respect each other is one of the things I thrive on when it come down to a person saying I've had people to come on, my boy Half Pint, he's did certain things on the show. Then, you look and he like, man, no, I don't want to put that out. After the consent is signed, I still, because of the respect of the individuals involved, I won't put it out, but if I put it out, I knew it would go viral. If it was certain things that I put out from Charleston White, all these different people, I have so much footage from him. I'd never put that stuff out. It gets views, but when does integrity become a thing? You know what I mean? When do we step up and say, hey, you know what? I remember putting something out one time. My brother told me, take it down, because it was like, no, don't put that up, because the views are not worth, the shade, the way that it's going to look on your character to even be listening and sitting in the room with some of the things that are being said in some cases. But also, if it affects others that down the line is going to come back to haunt you for even doing it, why would you put it out? But Lord Jamar, in this case, didn't like what had been said by, I think it was Professor Dave in his debate, you know what I mean? Professor Dave in his debate and the way that they was going at it, I think he was embarrassed by it, and he asked, I believe it was Godfrey, not to put it up, and I think Professor David screen recorded it, so it was going up anyway. Some things you can't control in these scenarios, but the thing I wanted to tap in with was about the views. That was the reason why I turn that off. That was the reason why I say I speak on it. Everything, views is not everything. It is money, but it can put you in a situation. Even when you look at TV back in the day, certain things didn't come on at certain times. And if you had to look at an X-rated video, you had to put it in a certain way. Or if people didn't sign the right documents and do the things professionally that they should be doing, then you would, basically not put out the film. These guys, man, like I said, I think a lot of times on these waves that we're on, I think people need to take it a lot more serious, because there will come a time where people will start to hold you accountable for certain things that you do in the way that you do them. So you should already be preparing yourself for that, especially Godfrey, being that he's been around the industry. A lot of these guys, are industry people. I'm just a guy that decided to do this. Not an industry guy, never had no background with nobody doing any of this, anything like it. So when you look at these guys and you look at the stance they take, I have no idea why they do what they do, because I'm cut from a different cloth. When it comes down to the way I present my business, I'm a business dude more than anything before all of this stuff. So Godfrey, like I said, I tend to not agree with everything for views. I mean, yeah, you do it for views, but there should be some kind of respect and cap off on how you do things and what you will and will not do. And I think you should hold yourself accountable for what you put out, because some stuff you put out just because it gets views may not be good for your brand. So, when you look at Godfrey, when you look at a lot of these different people, it's just a trip to hear them, because you think that they would know more than anybody, the impact of what this could do. And you think about it when you see Dante Nero and you see all these different people arguing on this podcast, already it's going to get you views. But who's going to be affected by it in a way to where they feel like their brand is being taunted? That's the thing you got to ask yourself. So I got to ask people in the comments today, and I'm going to do this on my community channel side too. I'm going to run a poll like, do you really feel like that it's okay to pretty much violate people that are in the room with you for views just because it'll go viral? Is it okay to do all kind of crazy, absurd stuff? I know everybody love it. Pull, guns out, do different things to try to get people to stage stuff. It's all kind of stuff going on TikTok from all these viral moments. But is it the credibility? Is it worth violating? That's what you have to ask yourself. I think these guys had a pretty good thing going. They both fell out with Vlad. I remember that. I seen that. Like I said, after Faison tapped in with Godfrey, I started watching Godfrey more, because me and Faison, that's my guy. So at the end of the day, I never met Godfrey, but because of the affiliation with Faison, I would watch his stuff. And he's a pretty funny guy. Like, he always do like impersonations and all kind of stuff. But I don't, a lot of times I don't think a lot of these guys, have gotten to the point where they want to get, else they would do things a little different, I guess. We all just out here talking and having a good time. Podcasting is a thing that creates, I believe, black media. So we have to be very, aware of what we're doing and what we're putting out and how we're going to look at the end of the whole situation. Like I said, love both of these guys. Lord Jamar seemed like a very cool guy. This Professor Dave guy, like I said, they both are being disrespectful to each other. It's certain things I won't even go on certain platforms or bring certain people on my platform, because I've never went on anyone's platform, but I won't, if I feel like it's going to be contention and me and these guys are not going to be, we're going to go at each other's throat. A lot of times I'm not even for the rock with that, because I done got too old for that, bro. And you got to realize Lord Jamar is talking to a screen. This is a virtual type interview, and it's crazy that the way they were, going back and forth. You can't do anything to each other. And that's a lot of what's going on the internet. Everybody's feel comfortable to say whatever. I don't think Professor Dave was in the room with Lord Jamar. He wouldn't have said that. He wouldn't have been too comfortable to say anything. You feel you're in a safe place on that TV or on that monitor, so you'll say whatever. But I don't think you say that if you're in the room with certain people. I think a lot of times, a lot of stuff being said, if a person's in there, you're not going to say it. I remember my boy R.I.P. to Bobby. Bobby would tell me, man, I'm not going to speak on that person unless they here to defend themselves. I remember that statement one time when I was talking about somebody. You wake up to these wake-up calls and you just want to do what's right as you grow and you get wiser. But like I said, Lord Jamar, I know it's should he be suing him? Is that a Drake effect? that's something you got to think about. This environment we in, people will sue you, but again, you got to have your paperwork and stuff right. You got to have people signing paperwork and documents before they come into these shows, and they feel like they don't want you to put it out because Godfrey that's his podcast and he's doing everything to make some money because he's spending his time. But there are guidelines, and if I'd have violated guidelines, my show would be a lot bigger now. But there's certain things I'm not going to do, and I won't violate certain integrity and roles because of my children watching me. If I'm dead and gone, I don't want them to look back at me and I'm doing something that's clownish. So guys, you gotta have a respect. You gotta think about what you're doing. Like I said, I hope these guys get it together. I'll put the link in the description so you can go watch the interview in its entirety. Dope dudes, man. Like I said, I hope they all pull it together, man. And hey, man, keep going with your podcast. And Boss Talk 101, we're going to get to it as well, man. So I think these guys, I know Godfrey, he from the Midwest, and I think Jamar, he might be from New York, so I don't know. I'm not a big follower of certain individuals, but I just seen them getting a little riffraff, and they brothers, they look like me, so I felt to speak on it, and I hope and pray that they'll figure it out. And guess what, man? We're going to be over here doing things, but we're going to definitely stipulate it to a situation where we're not going to violate over the views. Everything's not about money, and some of these guys came in the game trying to figure out ways to get on. And then you got certain guys who was already on and popping, and they don't have to violate by just trying to do anything for views. Shout out to Boss Talk 101, where the bosses talk review.
Yeah, we on Boss Talk TV. Shout out to E. He the reason you see me.